Alright guys and gals, we finally made it. We've reached 2 million downloads. I'm not sure if this game is either becoming popular or a lot of people are re-rolling their accounts. But either way, it's a notable milestone. So this campaign is going to be running from the 18th of January to the 25th. Which is nice because right after that, Monster Hunter will be coming out. Not sure if anyone else is hyped for the game, but I am very much looking forward to it. But that's for later. For now, we're still talking about Fate Grand Order. So, for for this event, we're going to be getting up to 25 Saint Courts for logging in every day from January 19th to the 24th. In other words, about 5 Saint Courts a day. Not only that, we'll be getting some EXP cards, stat boosters for HP and attack, 5 golden apples, and 5 summoning tickets. The golden apples always help with grinding, and the summoning tickets give us a chance to summon that also desired servant, albeit a small glimmer of hope, but a hope nonetheless. And, not only that, for our new masters that might be joining our ranks fairly soon, they will be revamping the Start Dash campaign. Now, in this campaign, for logging in for a total of 1 week, you will receive a total of about 28 Saint Courts, some unknown number of friend points, 7 silver EXP cards, 3 golden tickets, and 1 golden apple. It's their way of saying, here you go. Here's a little bit of love because you won't be getting much of it from the gacha. So there's that, and one of the things I'm fairly looking forward to, but still very hard to decide, is which one of these heroic portraits that we will be getting. I like how it says out of all 10 you can only pick one, but each one costs 5. It doesn't really matter that each one costs 5 since you will only be able to get one. Still not sure which one I'll be picking, but either way, each one of them will add 50 bond points after clearing a quest to each servant in the party, which will help with the bond grinding, which will be actually a little bit easier for this week since, skipping this for now, for this week we will be getting a half AP campaign. So, all those 40 AP quests that deal, I think roughly about 615 bond points will increase to 665. So it will help, albeit small, but it will help somewhat. And not that out. And not to skip this, we will also be getting a new Mystic Code, the Anniversary Blonde. Let's take a look at this real quick. Now, the Anniversary Blonde skills features Mana Burst, which will increase one ally's Buster card damage for 1 turn, starting at a whopping 40%. That's actually rather sizable. And then it will creep all the way up to 60%, which is, it can be monstrous depending on your setup. That is nothing to laugh at. Then we'll move on to its second skill, Conviction of Victory. It will gain you at a base 10 critical stars, and then at the top 20 critical stars. It's an okay skill. It's not the best, but it's still really good depending on, again, your setup. Let's move on to Knight's Oath. Knight's Oath will grant one ally Guts status for 1 turn. Pretty much, if your opponent's about to use their Noble Phantasm and there's no way you can stop it, Knight's Oath will give you one last chance to stay up for one more good strong turn. So you'll revive with 2,000 at level 1, and at level 10, revive with 4,000. So, now that we've gone over Anniversary Blonde, back to the 2 million campaign. So, going back down, skipping the AP, what most people have been talking and clamoring about, we will be getting a new banner with new servants. So, there will be the 5-star Lancer servant Brunhilde, 4-star Berserker servant Beowulf, and, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Fionn Mac-Cumhail, another 4-star Lancer servant. Also, we will be getting 2 new crafting essences, Vessel of the Saint and Golden Millennium Tree. Vessel of the Saint I'm somewhat interested in, grants immunity to debuffs 3 times, but mostly it increases unit MP generation by 15%. Golden Millennium Tree increases maximum HP by maximum of 3,000. Not that fairly impressive for a 4-star. If it had some other skill added to it, then maybe, but it gets no attention from me. Now, here's what I'm really happy about. The gacha update. all those times of those dreaded rolls when you just get black keys after keys after keys. Guess what? Those days are gone. Those days are gone. Yes, they have done away with the black keys in the Sync Court summoning pool at least. And they will be replaced with new crafting essences. So, Kyrie, we've done kicked you to the curb. I'm somewhat sad about seeing Ren's pendants go because that has been a somewhat of a good luck charm for me up to this point, but hopefully we'll find another new one. And with the new servant, we are going to get a Brunhilde trial quest. So even if you're not able to roll the servant, you'll at least be able to use it, albeit once. And another thing that I'm impressed about, Altera will be getting a Noble Phantasm upgrade, increasing her damage by 100% and her defense debuff secondary effect by 10%. Now that we talked about that, let's look at these servants. First up we have is Brunhilde. She has a maximum Grail attack of 12,514 and a max HP of 16,041. Her max Grail HP is the same max HP as Scathach, the other 5-star lancer currently in the game, but her maximum Grail attack is slightly higher, I believe about 150 points, somewhere around that ballpark. Her art is somewhat plain in my honest opinion until you reach stage 4 in which it becomes just simply beautiful. So that will be also taken into account for one of the reasons to summon for this servant. So that's one check mark. Okay, so her star absorption is at 87, star generation at 12.2%, MP charge on attack is 1.07%, MP charge on defense 4%, death rate is at 32%. And death rate, always the lower the better. So her stats already seem like she's among the top of her class because she shares a lot of the same similarities, at least stat-wise, with Scathach. So that's another check mark. So we got 2 check marks for summoning for Brunhilde already. Now her deck is Quick, Arts, Buster, Buster. Quick will hit for 3 times, Arts 2, Buster once, and extra attack will hit for 5. Since Scathach's Buster hits for 6 times, she's a little bit better on generating critical stars. Not that Brunhilde cannot generate them, but it's a little bit less than Scathach. Now let's go take a look at the active skills. Take a look at the first one. Now, Mana Burst Flame B will increase Buster card performance for 1 turn, and increase own Noble Phantasm damage for 1 turn. Now, the Buster damage will increase from 15% to 25%, whereas the Noble Phantasm damage will increase from 8%, trending all the way up to 15% at level 10. Now, her second skill, not my favorite skill, is Primeval Rune. Primeval Rune will reduce one enemy's Noble Phantasm damage for 1 turn, and reduce their critical attack chance for 3 turns. Now, my feeling on this skill is that unless you have another 2 servants that will also shave down the damage for the enemy's Noble Phantasm, it doesn't really amount to much since the enemy's Noble Phantasm 9 times out of 10 is generating anywhere from like 15,000 damage to upwards 25,000 damage. Not too many of your servants will be able to tank that much damage unless you're using Jeanne d'Arc with a maximum HP of I think 17,000. But I guess every little bit helps. Not a bad skill, but it'd been better if it would have simply just denied the Noble Phantasm for 1 turn or stunned for 1 turn. I digress. Now her third skill is Hero's Bridemaid C. It will increase allies' critical star absorption for 3 turns and it will heal. See, now this is a much better skill. It will increase star absorption by 300% at 1, healing 1,000 at 1, and at level 10, increase star absorption by 600% and healing for 3,000%. So any of those servants that you have, like Berserkers who have horrible star absorption and take hits like not so well, this skill will actually benefit them greatly. But, okay, let's move on to the passive skills. For the passive skills, we have Magic Resistance B, which will increase resistance to debuffs by 17.5%. Writing A will increase on quick card performance by 10%, which is okay seeing as she does have two quick cards rather than some Saber servants who have one quick card and a writing skill. So it doesn't help that much for them, but it's good enough. She also possesses the Divinity E skill, which will increase own damage by 100. Now let's take a look at her Noble Phantasm, Brunhilde Romantia. It's a anti-unit, so single target, buster type Noble Phantasm, so that means she can bust a Brave Chain. And if you couple that with her Mana Burst Flame, B, I believe, let's double check. Drawing a blank on names. Yeah, Mana Burst Flame B will drastically increase the output of damage for her Noble Phantasm. Let's see. It will also increase parties' critical star generation rate by 30% for 3 turns, and will have a damage output of 600% at MP1 and 5% at 1000% at 5. Sorry. It will also deal damage against Brunhilde's beloved enemies. Kind of ironic, seeing as she's trying to slay the one she loves. Okay, well, she might fall into the yandere category. Now, if you manage to complete her interlude, it will increase her Noble Phantasm damage by 200%, and increase that party's critical star generation by an additional 20%. Not bad, not bad. But that's it for Brunhilde. Let's move on to the next Lancer, the 4-star, Von Mac-Kumhel. Now, for Von Mac-Kumhel, his maximum Grail attack is at 10,812 and a maximum Grail HP of 15,459. His max Grail attack is somewhat, I give it medium high. It's not low, it's not in the middle, it's medium high. Maximum Grail HP, it trends upward. The art style for it, it's charming. It's charming. I'll give it that. So that's one notch mark for Von Mac-Kumhel. Okay, Star Absorption 89, Star Generation 12.3%. Now his MP charge on attack is fairly bad at 0.55%. He does have 2 arts cards, which helps, but it's still fairly bad. But we can still make it work. Now, his MP charge on defense is 4%, and death rate, like Brunhilde, is at 32%. Now, his deck sits at Quick Arts Buster. Hitsing 2 times, and 1 time with an extra attack of 4 times. Now, looking at his extra skills, back to the first one, is Clairvoyance B. It will increase own star generation rate for 3 turns from 19% to 38%. And after his strengthening quest, it will upgrade to Clairvoyance Beauty B++, which not only will increase the party's critical star generation rate, it will also increase party's MP generation rate, which will make up for his fairly low MP generation. Now, his second skill is the Beauty of Trouble with Women A. It will grant him a chance for evasion, draw attention of all enemies to self for 1 turn, and reduce own resistance to charm by female by 80% for 3 turns as a demerit. Now, his chance for evasion starts at 60% chance, and at level 10 will make it a 100% chance. So, probably a skill that you try to get to 10 first. Now, his third skill is Magecraft B. It increases own arts card performance for 1 turn, starting at 24% and ending at 40%, which is rather respectable. His passive skills is Magic Resistance B, again increasing own resistance to debuffs by 17.5%, and Divinity D, increasing own damage by 125. Now, his Noble Phantasm is Mak Anluin. Still not sure if I'm pronouncing these correctly, but close enough. Now, his is an anti-army, wave clear, arts type Noble Phantasm, dealing damage to all enemies and gain immunity to mental debuffs for 3 turns, which would couple well with his, the name of it is too long. The Beauty of Trouble with Women A, since it does grant a demerit to charm resistance, his Noble Phantasm will eliminate that possibility. So his damage will move from 450% to 750%, and then reducing the attack of all enemies for 3 turns by 10%, moving all the way up to 30%. Once you upgrade it with the interlude, it will add another 150% to damage, but it will add nothing to the secondary skill. And before I forget, Brunhilde, as some may have noticed, is a limited time servant, so we're going to add another notch to Brunhilde for reasons to summon. So let's move on to the last servant on this banner, which is by far the most swaggiest in art, is Beowulf. Now, anyone who's read this story, Enforced by School, should be somewhat familiar with the character Beowulf, slayer of goblins and dragons alike. So he has a maximum Grail attack of 12,407 and a maximum Grail HP of 12,521. His Grail attack is, I'm going to say, again, medium high. Medium high to upper tier for Berserker servants. Grail HP is, again, medium high. He's not great, but he's not horrible. He's kind of a jack of trades, but ace of none. Now, he has the general star absorption for Berserkers of around 10 to 9, him being 10, star generation of 4.9%. His MP charge is actually on the lower side for Berserkers. Berserkers either come in one of two categories. Either they have very high star generation, like Kiyohime at 2.05%, or fairly low, like Beowulf at 0.68%, and it doesn't help that he only has one Arts card. But his MP charge on defense is at 5%. I believe it's the average for Berserkers. Now, death rate is at 58.5%. That's rather high, so try to avoid him getting hit by insta-kill skills. Now, his deck is Quick, Arts, Buster, Buster, Buster. Quick card hitting for 3, Arts card hitting for 3, Buster all hitting for 1. Extra attack hitting for 4. He's not one to try to generate critical stars. He's there just to bash people's skulls in with his lance and sword. Now moving on to his active skills. First one, Berserk A. Increases own attack for 1 turn and increases own MP damage for 1 turn, giving a Berserker the chance to buff its own attack is always good. So his attack boost will go from 20% to 30% at level 10, and an additional damage to MP for 10% all the way up to 20%. That's Berserk A. Moving on to his second skill. His second skill is Instinct B. Of all the skills they could have given a Berserker, why did they give the Berserker a chance to just to generate critical stars, to which they are very unlikely to receive themselves? Anyway, the stars will move from 4 up to 14. If you can somehow manage to make use of this skill, kudos to you. However, Beowulf himself will likely, unless he's the last one standing, will not be receiving these critical stars. I'm going to say at least 8 times out of 10. Now moving on to his third skill, Battle Continuation B. I love it when they give Berserkers any type of gut skills, because seeing as they take hits very, well, pretty much like a glass cannon, they need a gut skill or some type of survivability. So again, it grants him a gut skill for 4 turns, reviving him with 750 HP at level 1 and 2000 HP at level 10. Not that much HP for a Berserker, seeing as almost anything that touches them wounds them gravely. Now, his one and only passive skill is Mad Enhancement E-, which will increase damage of this unit's Buster card by 1%. If only he had at least Mad Enhancement B, this would be very good with his first skill, Berserk A. However, it does let you carry on a conversation with him because he is actually coherent through his madness. Just a little bloodthirsty. Now, his Noble Phantasm is Grendel Buster. It is a single target Buster type Noble Phantasm, which will ignore evasion for 1 turn and deal damage to 1 enemy. Now, I always love it when a Noble Phantasm will either hit you regardless if you're using evasion or what is it called? Invincibility. See, it's just great. I'm not going to go into it. You know why. Those servants that just spam those skills that you're just trying to get rid of them, and they just won't go down. Now, the damage will scale from 600% at level 1 and 1000% at level 5. It will also reduce their critical chance for 3 turns, starting at 30% and ending at 50%. And when we upgrade again after an interlude, always gotta love these interludes, it will grant an additional 100% damage to his Noble Phantasm. But again, like Kumhel, nothing will happen to his secondary skills. Well, now that we've covered these servants, I think it's time for me to try to summon for him.